Okay, so you've talked a little bit about community foundations. Let's talk specifically about the DuPage Foundation. What is its role? What is its boundaries? Because it's a community. What is its community that it serves?
By nature and by name, we are focused on DuPage County, connecting all those wonderful municipalities and those people. We have approximately $90 million in assets from completely unrestricted funds, where individuals have given us the discretion, our board and grant committee, on where to make annual grants through our community needs program, to completely restricted funds.
What is the mission of DuPage Foundation with regards to what interests that you serve?
We grant in all areas: health, human services, arts, education, environment. But in order to make a big difference, to move the needle on something, we've taken on these initiatives, as I mentioned earlier. So we got into the early childhood care and education space because we went out to the community and asked, what were the biggest needs out there? When we have a willing donor and an identified need, that's the perfect scenario for the Community Foundation to get involved and be the central point between those resources and needs, which is really the definition of a community foundation: marrying up resources with needs.
Where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you have a vision that you can communicate to those out there looking at the DuPage Foundation? How should I engage? This is where they're going, and I want to be part of that ride.
There is talk of us hanging our hat on growing from 100 million to 200 million in 5 years. That's a big undertaking, but we did a little research on some of our 5-year incremental growth, and it is statistically possible. We've also built a huge number of relationships that could make that happen. So that's the first gimme in a community foundation world, is grow your assets. But in the meantime, every day that we show up to work, we're doing something impactful and meaningful to move an issue forward, to help organizations do what they do, to help donors come into play. I would love to say that every community in DuPage within 5 years is participating in our Bright and Early DuPage initiative, that we have the resources to be able to sustain funding for all those communities, and that they have found other funding to sustain it. It's also looking at Arts DuPage and making sure that we have our thriving arts community recognized, invested in, that the business community understands what an investment it is to have a healthy arts community. And then it's having our antenna up to look at what is our next opportunity. The board is challenging us to say, okay, so if there's an opportunity for us to tackle another issue, what would that look like?
How does one find the DuPage Foundation? How do we contact you? How do we engage with you?
I'll start with our website. DuPageFoundation.org is certainly the first place to go. There's lots of resources around the to whom, how much, when, and with what assets. We also have a section on our page about professional advisors such as yourself who folks can go to have those conversations. We encourage them to do that. When you asked earlier about our role and our value, our biggest value is we have people who grew up here, that live here, that know this community, who have experience in charitable giving and can have and be very accessible to you for those conversations.